Hello again. Just read an interesting article on the Inquisitor. I'm going to attach the link. You're not going to have to look for it, but I'll provide you with some of the highlights. It starts off, Mansour Bal Bey autopsy report reveals black teenager was shot in back. Mansour Bal Bey is the black teenager that was shot by the St. Louis police. The article goes on to say Mansour Bey, an unarmed black teenager, was shot and killed by a white St. Louis police officer. Was shot in the back. According to the medical examiner, Bel Ray, 18, was killed when a single gunshot entered through his back and struck his heart, a recently released autopsy report said. We were told that he was armed, but the article again says that he was unarmed. The Mansour Bel Ray autopsy report could increase tempers, which flared in St. Louis area after the shooting. St. Louis Chief Medical Examiner Michael Graham said the black teenager was struck in the upper right shoulder by the police officer. It would likely be impossible to determine if Bel Bey had turned his body as the officer squeezed the trigger. According to police reports, 2 law enforcement officers shot at Mansour. The officer told investigators that the black teenager pointed a gun at them as he fled the home where they were serving a search warrant. The police officers also reportedly stated that the suspect dropped his gun and continued running after he was struck with the bullet. Mansour Bal Bey shooting protesters and police officers clashed on Wednesday evening. The officers were forced to don riot gear and use tear gas in some instances. The bullet in the fatal shooting did not exit Bal Bey's body, according to the autopsy report. The St. Louis medical examiner also stated that Mansour would have died nearly instantly and said it would have been difficult to impossible for him to continue running after being wounded. Graham did acknowledge that if the black teenager had been running as the bullet hit his body, there would have been some forward momentum after being struck. There are many variables, but he certainly wasn't facing, his chest wasn't facing the officer, Graham also said. The St. Louis police chief, Sam Dodson, said the autopsy report showing the exact point of entry of the bullet neither proves or disproves the statement made by the officers. Jermaine Wooten, the attorney for the Bal Bey family, maintains that no witness saw Mansour with a gun. The teenager was visiting relatives in the area. It was not reportedly at home when the warrant was being served. Why he decided to run from the police remains unclear. The Mansour Bal Bey shooting report will be turned over to both the St. Louis city attorney and the U.S. Attorney's Office for further review. Well, now that Attorney General Loretta Lynch has access to all this information, I'm certain there'll be a thorough and comprehensive investigation. We were told that a weapon was dropped. We were told it was a 9mm weapon that was dropped. We were told that the weapon that was dropped was found to have been stolen from someone about 110 miles away from where this incident occurred. The problem that I have, and the problem that you should have, is how do we know what's real or what isn't real? There's no mention in this article of a 9mm. There's no mention that the gun was stolen, reportedly stolen. And it starts off saying that the black teenager was unarmed, when in fact we were told he was armed. So what is it? Personally, I think it's just another excuse to try to further create a division between blacks and whites. We'll see how this thing plays out. there's a possibility that both of these officers will find themselves charged with murder. You think not? Well, look what happened in Baltimore. You've got video of Freddie Gray not being able to walk, his head hanging to the side, his legs dangling below him as he's carried to the paddy wagon. I mean, there's clear video showing that. Yet, 6 officers were charged with various crimes based on the passing of Freddie Gray. The only thing that they should be charged with is having him placed in the back of the paddy wagon, not in constraints, as was expected. But that law was a recent law. I think it was 3 days old. The officers might not have known. We'll see how that unfolds. Marilyn Mosby should be replaced, as should Stephanie Burke. But this isn't about Baltimore. This is about St. Louis. And you notice there's no mention of that little 9-year-old girl that was shot in the head while doing homework on her mother's bed in Ferguson, Missouri. No one's talked about that. If Black Lives Matter, why didn't her life matter? Just asking. I'll attach the article that I just read to, and let me know what you think. You know what the Medical Examiner thinks. You know what the St. Louis Chief of Police thinks. And you sure as heck know what I think. Thanks for listening.